Last podcast on the left is all about the facts. So when Southern New Hampshire University came on as a sponsor, it was time to do some research. Turns out they offer more than 200 online degree programs, and get this, criminal justice and psychology are some of the most popular. Classes have no set meeting times, and tuition rates are some of the lowest in the U.S. Want to learn even more about SNHU? Visit snhu.edu/last. Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why drivers have trusted Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. Just tell Progressive what you want to pay, and they'll show you coverage options that fit your budget. Visit Progressive.com to find a car insurance rate that works for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
There's no place to escape to.
This is the last podcast.
On the left.
Live from your glade.
That's when the cannibalism started.
What was that?
Hey, what's up, everyone? How you doing? Welcome to a very special edition of Last Podcast on the Left. I am Ben Kissel, hanging out with Henry Zabrowski.
It's almost too special.
It's too special.
It's a little too special. This is, guys, we're covering an interview with a very talented director, Mike Flanagan, who recently directed Stephen King's Dr. Sleep.
Yes, indeed.
Today, we're going to be talking about Dr. Sleep. You saw the movie.
I did see the film. I highly recommend this movie. So Stephen King's Dr. Sleep is the next chapter to the Shining story. It takes place 40 years later. So today, we speak with Mike Flanagan about making the follow-up to The Shining. I mean, Henry, can you even imagine that endeavor following Stanley Kubrick?
Oh, yeah, eyes wide butt. Wait till you see my eyes wide butt. It's going to be great, man. It's going to be a great film. Everyone's going to really enjoy it. Everyone's going to circle around. I'm a person, Natalie and I are people who have seen every single Stephen King made-for-TV movie.
Yes.
I've seen every single Stephen King film.
Yep.
I love Stephen King. And yes, his oeuvre, it can be on a little bit, you could almost say corny side, but I'm also going to say it's also like a weighted blanket for your soul.
It is. I love the feeling of watching a Stephen King film. Obviously, we're talking now about Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. The first time I saw The Shining, that was one of those films where it made me horrified because the child character, which is actually in this film, now played by Ewan McGregor, I was exactly that kid's age. And there's something about seeing a father freaking out on camera. And I don't know why it resonated with me, but there was something about seeing a father just angrier and angrier and angrier every single day where I'm like, oh, I could see myself at the Overlook Hotel being that kid.
Daddy, I want French fries. Yeah, well, I'm trying to write a novel. I believe, but also, Stephen King famously hated that movie. So we're going to talk about this. We'll talk about this a little bit with Mike Flanagan, see what he says.
So this film takes place many years later, and Ewan McGregor plays Danny. And of course, you'll know Danny. He's the boy who was talking to his finger, and his finger was saying, red rum, which of course in the mirror is Mirror.
Yes.
So we're sort of seeing what was the future like for this child who had, I'm just going to say, a turbulent childhood. How did he grow? What did he become as a man? And this film,
I tell you what he became.
What's that?
He became a good old-fashioned booze hound.
He did indeed. And so when you get a chance to see it, it is interesting to see, like, all right, cool. This is Danny all grown up. Wonder what he's going to be like. Probably super well adjusted. Well, it turns out some of the hauntings of his father's past are also haunting of his.
It turns out Danny Torrance is a member of a gigantic group of psychic vampires.
No kidding.
That's where it goes to. I don't mean to jump the cart here. Is that what I don't want to put the cart in front of the car here. All right, but yeah, there's a lot of psychic vampires in this story.
Absolutely. So when you sit down to watch Stephen King's Dr. Sleep, which I highly recommend watching The Shining first. You know, just watch The Shining at home, just so you can like leapfrog right into the sequel. Because again, it's been some years now, and for you just have to rewatch The Shining every 3 years, just to remember how incredible that movie is. Jack Nicholson.
When it's in a theater, when you get a chance to see it, if it has a theatrical release, it is a must-see because it is beautiful when it's huge.
Absolutely. Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, they really did put on a performance of a lifetime.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Shelley Duvall was tortured for it.
Yes.
So Stanley Kubrick definitely screamed at her until she screamed. And Jack Nicholson, apparently also was very scary on set, which he should have been. I mean, what are you going to do? You jump into the brain of Mr. Torrance. It's really not a lot you can go around that. And but it feels like they had a lighter experience on Stephen King's Dr. Sleep.
Yeah, I don't think the sequel had the same amount of Stanley Kubrick screaming at the actors. I'm pretty sure Mr. Flanagan, the director, doesn't bring a ball and chain with him to set the same way that Kubrick did.
I mean, we'll ask him. We're going to ask him.
But so I have a question here for you, Henry, because you're the foremost expert on this stuff.
Sure.
So can you explain what the heck is the shine?
The shine is a thing that some people have.
Okay.
Even some places have.
Oh.
Like the Overlook has a shine.
So what happens if you get the shine?
I mean, nothing good. The shine seems to be a type of psychic ability that Stephen King has invented. Not too different from the Force.
Okay.
Where the shine allows you to communicate with others who have the shine. Some people are affected differently. Some people are more clairvoyant. Some people are more telekinetic. Some people can... some people... can see what happened in the past just by touching an object. The Shine is Stephen King's TM brand of psychic powers.
Right.
That has now become a thing throughout the Stephen King universe.
And obviously, so telepathy is involved. You can speak with
Telepathy.
Energy. So telepathy is involved. You can speak with spirits, and you can speak with different kind of energies. Henry, you got the shine. Let's say, boop, you just got the shine.
Oh, Kissel, stop thinking that.
Yep, you got it.
Oh, Kissel. Kissel, stop thinking that.
Oh, man. What spirit? Who are you talking to? Jane Mansfield? Who are you talking to? What's the spirit?
I just saw Napoleon Bonaparte just sitting on your knee. He's so cute.
Isn't that very nice? So in this sequel, again, Stephen King's Dr. Sleep, more than one person has the shine.
You are correct.
And isn't that gonna, and that's what makes it so much more exciting in many ways.
It's hijinks.
And then the shining, because everyone's got it.
But this is, it's very classic sequel thinking, where instead of giving it to the pivotal character, like that's the idea is that him and Dick Halloran are the only people that have the shine, and
right.
The Overlook is all kind of mysteriously connected with Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. Let's see what happens if everybody shines.
Everyone shines. Henry, other quick question for you. You got a free hotel. Expedia is like, ooh, congratulations. You have a free weekend at the Overlook Hotel.
You just called it the Overlook.
Yes, I know.
I'm going to the Overlook?
No,
that's a different hotel than the Overlook.
No, you have a free weekend at the Overlook Hotel. Are you going, or are you going to say, you know what? My soul is too important to spend 2 nights in this scary, spooky hotel.
Of course I'm going.
You're going to
go. Look at the incredible book Jack Torrance wrote. That's a lot of pages he put down.
I mean, he did do a lot of writing. He did write a lot of words.
There were times that I was really afraid that when Marcus was alone writing our book, that he would show up. He'd be like, I wrote a great chapter this week, guys. And we're like, cool, Marcus, cool. Yeah, just send her away. And then it was just all work and no play, make Marcus go fucking crazy, like again and again and again and again.
So now let's get to the interview with Stephen King's Dr. Sleep director, Mike Flanagan.
Live from your grave.
Today we are honored to have with us. He is a director. Now, Henry loves a lot of his films, as do I. He's been around the block. This man is a fantastic director. His latest film is Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. We are honored to be with director Mike Flanagan. Thank you so much for being on the show, Mike.
Oh, are you kidding me? The honor is all mine.
Oh, no.
So, Stephen King's Dr. Sleep, this is not the first film that you've worked on that is an adaptation of a Stephen King book. What is it about his work that inspires you and says, all right, this is a guy that I want to visualize his creation? What is it about Stephen King?
Oh, wow. Well, I read my first Stephen King book when I was way too young to be reading Stephen King books, and he's my hero. He's my favorite author. He has been since I was a kid. And I think the reason why, what to your question about what about him
Yeah.
and his writing really grabs me, it's that he's not really writing horror. It's about his characters. He's writing these humanistic explorations of such kind of relatable and profound human ideas, and
Right.
they just happen to kind of be told through the lens of horror. And I find, that has shaped the way I see the genre since I was very young. So it's always been a dream of mine to be able to play in his sandbox, and
Yeah.
he's let me do it twice now. We'll see if he kicks me out or not.
That's
Well,
awesome.
Famously, right? Because this is Dr. Sleep is the sequel to The Shining, which he wrote himself in 2013, and he famously was not a fan of the original The Shining. Right, which is, I think it led to him, because then he ended up directing a bunch of, he directed Maximum Overdrive. I was
Awesome.
watching an interview with Stephen King recently where he was just like, I just wanted control. And it's like, no, I understand the feeling. But how do you feel like, how is the pressure? Like because you worked with him for Gerald's Game. When he was talking about that, was he on set for Gerald's Game 2 and this movie? Like, do you have to appease Mr. King, or is he going to send his legion of bats at you?
No, Steve, he historically and very kind of intentionally stays away from the movies. He views the book as its own thing and the movie adaptation as its own thing. And he wants it to be the filmmakers. He doesn't want to interfere. Now, that said, he will absolutely not be shy about what he thinks about what you did when you're finished, as
Right.
Kubrick learned. He's not going to bite his tongue if he doesn't like the way you treated the material.
Right.
But he's also not going to, you don't have to appease him. He's not kind of in your hair. He really steps back. And as he put it to me, he's like, look, I win either way. If the movie's great, people say, of course it's great. It's great. It's based on a great book.
Right.
And if the movie sucks, they say, whoa, the book was better. So he wins no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
He was not on set for Gerald or for Dr. Sleep. And in fact, the first time I ever spoke to Stephen King on the phone was after Dr. Sleep was finished.
Seriously? Oh, I thought that you might have had to have a meeting with him and like have to go through his haunted maze. And if you don't scream, you can meet with him.
It was always via email. After Gerald's Game, we were in touch, on email, and there was a lot about Dr. Sleep that I had to get his permission for because I'm such a fan, knowing how he feels about the Kubrick film,
Right.
and knowing what I wanted to do with the movie. I had to get his blessing to kind of bring back the Kubrick iconography and bring back the Overlook.
Yes,
And if he hadn't
absolutely.
given me that blessing, I wouldn't do it. But I wouldn't have made the film.
That's what's so fascinating about this film. It's you're in the shadow, or not in the shadow, but you're making a sequel to a movie directed by Stanley Kubrick, one of the greatest directors in the history of directors, and it's an adaptation of a book written by one of the most prolific writers in history. So that must have been like, oh my, you must have looked in the mirror, or did you look in the mirror at one point and just be like, I gotta nail this. This is a big opportunity right here. I mean, how do you sort of follow in the footsteps of someone like a Stanley Kubrick?
Oh, you can't is the secret. The thing is, I'm not Stanley Kubrick. I'll never be Stanley Kubrick. No one else will ever be Stanley Kubrick. This has been the most intimidating experience of my career for exactly the reasons you're talking about. And I do think it's standing in the shadow. I mean, these are two monolithic creators.
Yeah.
Stephen King, is Stephen King, and Kubrick redefined what horror cinema is
Right.
with The Shining. This is nothing to take lightly. And so I felt like I was about to throw up for the last 2 years.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Everyone says, are you excited to be like a part of the arts or make a living and making your own content? And you're just being like, I feel like I'm going to die all the time.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, it does. It has felt like any minute now I'm going to step on a landmine that will leave nothing left but like this little Mike-shaped scorch mark in the earth.
Right.
And I'll deserve it for having walked out into this field at all.
When you are working with, so you're working with Ewan McGregor playing an older Danny Torrance.
Right.
When you guys are tracking these performances, like the way you are taking even just stylistically, because it was awesome how like you shot inside of the actual Stanley Hotel and you actually did it exactly, like you did it with the same like lighting techniques as Stanley Kubrick. Like you made it look like the old movie and you carried it. How do you do these performances? Because I know you've done a lot of rehearsal. Like I know with Haunting of Hill House, you guys did a lot of rehearsal, right? Like, do you guys sit and talk about this shit? Like, does he watch the original Danny Torrance's performance and carry it over?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Ewan is a very prepared actor. And the reason I cast him at all was because when I met with a bunch of candidates for the part, you know, he identified immediately. He said, I'm not here to try to do a Nicholson impression. I'm not here to try to, you know, marry this performance back to a performance that already exists. I'm here to look at a character who we haven't seen in pop culture since he was a child. And I'm here to talk about this character's struggle with addiction and with sobriety, which is what Dr. Sleep is all about.
Yeah.
Right.
The Shining is clearly Stephen King dealing with his own addiction issues and his anxiety about what could happen to his family.
Right.
But Dr. Sleep, the novel, is written by the same man with, you know, decades of sobriety under his belt. And it is so much about recovery. It's a different animal. They're two sides to the same coin, but they are different. And Ewan immediately said, you know, let's put The Shining out of our minds and let's talk about Dan Torrance and his recovery. And that's why I cast him.
But that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And that's really interesting. Would you, so when you're an actor, obviously playing a character that has already existed on screen, what do you recommend? Would you recommend that an actor go and study that character that was previously on screen, or just sort of approach it with new life and just be like, yeah, that was this character as a child, and we obviously through life we changed dramatically. So did Ewan just more come at it like, I'm a whole new Danny? Or did you notice some of a similar, did you try to continue on some similar strains from the original?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. You know, he absolutely spent a good amount of time studying The Shining. And a lot of it, you know, to not only look at Danny, but of course we change so much, you know, between when we're 6 years old and when we're adults anyway.
Right.
But to also look at his father and his mother in the movie and to kind of look at the traits that Shelley Duvall was presenting and that Jack Nicholson was presenting and say, I have to play the offspring of these two people.
Right.
That requires a good amount of study. But it also, in the way that we're not our parents, it had to be his own performance. And that was our approach to the whole film. It wasn't just to the actors who were playing characters that had already been established. It was to the hotel itself and to the aesthetic of the movie.
Right.
You know, I look at Dr. Sleep as much as a child of The Shining, you know, as it is a sequel. And it has elements of its parents. And I think its parents in this case are Stephen King and Kubrick. But it's also an individual. And, you know, that balance has been the whole challenge of this thing.
So when you take a concept like the True Knot, so in the movie, the True Knot's this kind of like roving pack of essentially psychic vampires that Danny Torrance is kind of also going after. So this is kind of like a comic book movie concept. Like it's a little bit more, it's more intense because Stephen King's got wild imagination and it reads in the novel than it would if you were going to actually show people being the True Knot. How do you handle something like that? Like an elevated idea that could swing to corny if you want it to, like if you're bad at both, like if Stephen King was bad and you were bad, it would swing towards corny. But the fact that you guys can handle it, like how do you work that out as a director?
I always try to keep it as grounded as possible.
Right.
You have to kind of use your own taste as the barometer for what could tip to be, you know, too much or go corny, as you're saying. Fortunately, with something like, and this is going to sound crazy, but something like the concept of a psychic vampire, it's only something you can kind of look at and say, oh, that sounds like it could be a little comic book.
Right.
Just because comic books have pulled from the same well of source material that everything else has. That concept of an emotional vampire, you know, that's thousands of years old.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I think these ideas persist because there's something about it that speaks to a universal anxiety that we have. In this case, that something else would eat our feelings. That's a
Right.
terrifying and very grounded idea. The only thing that, you just have to make sure you don't present it in a way
Yeah.
that's silly. The more grounded you are, the better. But
Absolutely. And I think we've all had those experiences in life where you meet with someone or you know someone, and after you leave speaking with them, consistently feel worse. And then you have to slowly cut those people out of your life. So sticking with True Knot, the leader of True Knot is Rose the Hat. What did you have in mind when writing Rose the Hat? Did the character that you wrote, was that the one that manifested itself on screen? Can you speak a little bit about that?
I loved her on the page. I thought Rose was one of the best King antagonists in a number of years.
Yeah.
But even the character I wrote doesn't, it paled in comparison to the character that Rebecca made. And I think the reason was that Rebecca figured out very early. She said, well, the thing is, Rose is the villain. Rose is the monster of the story. Rose has to believe she's the hero of the story.
Oh, yes.
And, she said, I'm not a monster. I'm not a horrible thing. I'm someone who will do anything to protect her family.
Yes.
And when she rationalized all the horrible things she does in the movie through that, she said, I'm the hero of the story. And that made her an awesome villain, I think.
That's awesome.
And her take on the character is way cooler than whatever I could have come up with.
And of course,
I think she took it to a new level.
And of course, you're speaking about Rebecca Ferguson, who did an incredible job in Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. You got to check out this movie. Right now, we are speaking with Stephen King's Dr. Sleep's director, Mike Flanagan. Check out this film. It is in theaters November 8th. Make sure you go. Just watch it in a theater because it's one of those films that's scarier on the big screen, I guarantee it.
Well, now that you are currently sitting inside of the Stanley Hotel, which was the real version of the hotel overlook. Now it has rumors and has a history of ghost activity. And when they were shooting the original The Shining, I know that some people said they experienced some stuff. I don't know if that was just being afraid of Stanley Kubrick. Are you like? Have you
honestly,
experienced
that
anything?
Kubrick is so much scarier than any ghost. Did you ever the behind the scenes like extended cut of The Shining? I'm like, that's the scary movie. Is the making of this film.
But you experienced anything? You guys see any ghosts?
So it's interesting. So the Stanley Hotel, is where Stephen King was staying when he had the idea to write The Shining. And as you walk through this place, which has an amazing history, you can see the inspiration for everything in the story. Kubrick, when he made the film, he used the Timberline Lodge in Oregon as the exterior of the hotel, but he built everything else. Everything else was built on sound stages in London. And so for us, we just rebuilt the same sets that he had created. We used his blueprints to do it. The cool thing about being at the Stanley is that it's the hotel. They shot the miniseries here, the Mick Garris miniseries.
Yes, that's right. With what's his name from Wings?
Yeah, with Steve Weber.
Yes, love him.
Yeah, me too. And I thought he played a wonderful Jack Torrance.
He did.
The cool thing about this hotel, I always request the haunted rooms because I want to see a ghost. It hasn't happened for me yet. But this hotel, because Stephen King stayed here in 1974 when it was deserted, he was the only guest here. He got really drunk at the bar with a bartender named Lloyd. He stumbled around trying to find his room, which is room 217, couldn't find it, wandered through this hotel drunk off his ass, and it gave birth to a story that has since changed horror fiction and horror cinema forever. So being at the Stanley, it's a sacred space. The horror genre as we know it today would not be what it was were it not for this building.
Yeah.
And that's why it's such I love being here. This is my third time staying here. Kate, my wife, and I came here for a week to write Hush here. I love the energy here. I love the impact it's had globally on the genre.
Yes.
And most people, even ardent horror fans might not know the story, might not know the importance of the Stanley Hotel.
Yes.
So it's such a cool thing to be here.
And you are an incredible horror movie director. Also, Ouija Origin of Evil is a kick-ass movie. I love that
really
movie.
good.
It's so good. Do you think that Stephen King, do you think that he needed to go through the life cycle that he went through? Did he need to just go break his brain in a way with all the booze, all the drugs, in order to put himself in a world such as Jack had in The Shining.
What drugs are you using to get into the same mindset? Have you been juicing? Have you been getting in there in order to get truly scary? Because you got to scare yourself first.
Of course.
I'll tell you, the only drugs I've been able to get into my system right now are Claritin. Just to deal with the travel of it. But
oh yeah, of course,
I
we know
if,
that.
If King needed to go through what he went through in life, what I do know is that he did something that only masterful storytellers can, which is he took these things he went through and he used them to create stories that help other people who are going through similar things, help them confront their demons, their failings, and their anxieties in a way that gives them hope. Right. That, to me, whether he needed to go through it or should have gone through it, because, he's lived a life fraught with heartache and mistakes like any of the rest of us.
Yep.
Whether he needed to do it or not, I'm glad that he took what he took from those experiences and kind of converted it into something that has touched so many people around the world. I think that's incredible.
Yeah.
Do you think, like modern day Danny Torrance, that you have to drink in order to stop directing? Is it your power directing so strong that you have to booze yourself to sleep? Is that a way? That's what I do to explain to my family why I have to drink at night. It's just to shut down the improv machine.
I used to think that. Yes, I used to think exactly that, actually. And oddly, I stopped drinking while I was making Dr. Sleep, and I haven't had a drink in more than a year now.
That's
Holy
awesome.
shit, congrats.
Thank you. I was really worried at the time. I thought, oh my God, can I still do what I do without this in my life? But because of Stephen King and because of, diving so hard into this story about recovery, and I had a number of people in my cast who were recovered and who no longer drank or who had issues with drugs and had overcome them.
Wow.
It started as a very small thing where I said, I'm going to try this for a little bit. And, I have loved having a year of sobriety in my life.
That's awesome.
It's opened the world up for me.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that story, because I know a lot of our listeners, we get messages quite often from people who have recovered from drug abuse or alcohol abuse. And so that is a great story for our listeners to hear and for us to hear as well, because it is a bizarre safety net, and it's more of a habit that you have to break. And I know it's extremely difficult. So congratulations. Why did it,
thank you so much.
When it comes to Danny Torres, why was he sort of nicknamed, or why was he called Dr. Sleep? What was the sort of story behind that?
This is one of the coolest things that King did. So, in The Shining, they called him Doc because of Bugs Bunny. Because he loved Looney Tunes, and it was just, what's up, Doc? So he gets this job at a hospice as an orderly, where he's taking care of dying patients. But because of his shine, he can help them and comfort them in the moment that they're about to die. He knows when it's going to happen.
Right.
And it's the only thing he uses his gift for. And so the nickname that they come up with, because they at first think he's a doctor showing up in their room late at night, but he's just an orderly, and he keeps saying, I'm not a doctor. But they say, it's time to go to sleep, is what he tells them. He says, it's not death, it's just sleeping. And the patients there nickname him Dr. Sleep. Oh. And so he has the same nickname he had as a kid. They call him Doc, for a completely different reason that I think is so beautiful. And it's one of those kind of acrobatic writing maneuvers that King was able to do by completely recontextualizing that nickname. And it's, when I first saw the title, when the book was being published, I didn't get it. Of course, because it's impossible to understand. It was like, why would you call this book Dr. Sleep? It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
And then you read it and it means so much. But it's kind of a lovely note he did there.
That's awesome.
Did you do any talking about whether there was any sort of original plan for there to be a sequel to The Shining? I feel like when you read the original book, it all explodes. So you wonder what he really thought was going to be, which was like the main reason why he didn't like the original The Shining, was because everything doesn't explode. Which, I get. Well, if I wrote a huge explosion in the thing, I would be like, "Hey, it's for a movie, make it blow up."
So you think that Kubrick should have tag teamed in Michael Bay at that point for the end, and just get one big explosion in there?
It's so funny. I think that King was done with it. I think he was finished with that story. And I think that's why when you read Dr. Sleep, he's emphatic that the hotel is over. And it's, I think as the years went by and he was so kind of ensconced in AA and in his own kind of sobriety.
Yeah.
I think as he puts it, he wondered what happened to Dan. And he wanted to write a story that was kind of informed by the events of the Overlook, but was its own story.
Right.
I just thought it was such a cool opportunity to try to, the root of Dan's issues as a character are in his childhood and in the Overlook. And what a great opportunity to go back with him.
No, he's addicted to writing, and getting hit by the van made him work harder.
I know. He's retired 4 times. And every time he retires, there's 3 new novels on its heel. Never mind. He's a machine.
He's a machine. I wonder, really too, because in Gerald's game, I'm going to jump the plot a little bit. In Gerald's game, you throw a little bit of Dark Tower stuff into it.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a thing that you, as a fan of Stephen King, want to make sure stay in his work? Or is that a script thing, working with Stephen King? Because I know that as the years go, he's really trying to make sure he ties together the entire Dark Tower world as much as humanly possible to his old work.
Oh, totally. That's me as a fan. He never asked for anything like that. I just can't help it. I'm such a Dark Tower fanatic.
Yeah, me too.
But no, he's never kind of pushed for anything like that. And he's always kind of delighted when he sees it. And he's like, oh, you did that. And it's yeah. Give me your approval.
Dude, please, can I come to your spooky house?
Honestly, man, we are all just Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney in that SNL sketch. At the end of the day, because being horror movie fans and just being horror fans, it's just, we just want approval from our idols so bad.
Do you remember when you made Pennywise? Was that scary? That's all I could.
Must have been. So when, again, we are speaking with Stephen King's Dr. Sleep director, Mike Flanagan. And I mean, just kind of the final question that I have, Henry, unless you have another question.
I have one more.
Okay.
Yeah. My question is, so you were when you made The Haunting of Hill House, I know that you had a long rehearsal process because you did really long extended scenes in that show.
Right.
Which was great. Do you have an extensive rehearsal process for these other shows, for especially something like Dr. Sleep?
No, not typically. We don't have time normally.
No.
That episode of Haunting was a special case just because the shots were so complicated. It was like doing live television. So we shut down production for 6 weeks to prepare for those.
That's incredible.
I'm lucky if I get 2 or 3 sessions with Office before we roll. And then we rehearse every morning when we get to set for the day's work. But that's it.
That's crazy, because Gerald's game also would require, as far as I was concerned, I thought it would require a lot of rehearsal because the acting in that was fantastic. That was such a good, bottle episode of a movie.
No, we had, I think, 2 rehearsals before Gerald's game with Carla and Bruce. But the rest, we do it on the day, but that's why you get good actors, because they've got to kind of do it out the gate.
Well, and speaking of great actors, Ewan McGregor, Rebecca Ferguson, and we have a newcomer, Kylie Curran. What was that like for you? Did you take, as we were sort of joking about Kubrick earlier, tormenting Shelley Duvall to a degree that I don't know if is legal still today? But what was, when it comes to working with those 3 people, you got them all together. What was that like when it comes to not having them look forced when the scares occur, but something more natural? Because that's the one thing with horror films. People don't fully understand how hard it is to act scared. You kind of have to be scared. Did you do light touches
This
of
is
Kubrick?
why Kubrick was good.
This is why Kubrick was good.
You got to scare your actors.
You do.
Directors all know. You all do. I know, Mr. Flanagan. I know what you guys do. We're a bunch of cattle. I know what we are. We're moving props.
But yeah, did you take light touches of the Kubrick method of truly terrifying your cast?
Not at all. I'm so the opposite of that. I really think, it's the old Marathon Man, Dustin Hoffman story where, Laurence Olivier said, hey, it's called acting.
Yeah.
I'm completely in a different place. I want to make the set as comfortable for the actors as possible.
Oh, come on, man. This is your chance.
Yeah,
if you are ever cast in a Mike Flanagan film, you're going to be very grateful that he doesn't torment you.
Oh, yeah, and I'm a teddy bear. I just want everybody to be happy. Well,
that
thank
is
you guys so much.
all right. So people, just in 10 seconds, what do you want people to get from this film? You want them to walk in, and what do you want them to walk out feeling?
You know, I want people to walk out feeling the way I felt when I walked onto the set of the Colorado Lounge in the Overlook Hotel. It was so much like walking into a memory for me, kind of walking into a dream of a movie that's so near and dear to me. I want people to have that feeling.
Awesome.
And beyond that, I want them to just really, I want them to take away all the things Steve had to say about honor and recovery and responsibility, through Dan and Abra. I really hope they get that out of it. And more than anything with any movie, I want people to have a good time.
Hell yeah, dude. Stephen King's Dr. Sleep director, Mike Flanagan. Thank you so much, Mike. We really appreciate you being on the show. That was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. It was such a pleasure. I'm going to run to the airport, but it has been such a delight to talk to you.
Rise from your grave.
All right, there it was. Our interview with director Mike Flanagan. He's awesome.
He's very awesome. He's very good. I'm glad that he is nice to his actors, even though it's fun to hear the stories about Stanley Kubrick being really mean to Shelley Duvall, even though technically it's traumatizing. Everyone's going to be mad that I even said that. But I think that he did make a great movie.
He did, Henry, but you're an actor. Don't you? I know
how unimportant actors are.
All right, people. Thank you all so much. All right, people. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for listening to the show. We really hope you enjoyed the interview. Check out Stephen King's Dr. Sleep. November 8th. I had a chance to see it previously, and it really is fun. It's a super great movie, and Mr. Flanagan, he knows how to make a good horror film, because you can just go through his resume, and honestly, it's a kick-ass resume.
As a fan of Stephen King shit, it's really great. It just gets to go in. It's for me, Stephen King is a lullaby that puts me to big time sleepies. Weird. I stay awake for the films, but
good.
I don't know, man. It's just nice. I just love Stephen King.
I do too. All right, everyone. Thank y'all so much for listening. Hail yourselves.
Hail Satan.
Magustalations.
Hail me, please.
Let's do a Hail Stephen King, shall we?
Hail Stephen King, baby. Hail to the king.
Everyone's talking about protein lately, but how do you actually get enough of it? Muscle Milk. Muscle Milk has a great tasting new formula with no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or added colors. It's high quality, complete protein designed to support healthy muscles with fewer ingredients than the previous formula and 26 to 42 grams of protein for when you're stuck in meetings or need a post-workout recovery. Available in chocolate, vanilla cream, cookies and cream, and strawberries and cream. Try the new great tasting Muscle Milk today. Available in stores nationwide. Muscle Milk. Protein for all.
This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you're just starting out or scaling your business, Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform designed to help your business stand out and succeed online. Squarespace gives you everything you need to offer services and get paid, all in one place. From consultations to events and experiences, showcase your offerings with a customizable website designed to attract clients and grow your business. The best part about it is it can help you design a funnel in which you can very quickly record commercials so that you can get it done while you are desperately trying to get on break. That's the best part about Squarespace. It can really shorten up the time you spend doing things. You got to get in there. Use Squarespace. Man, is it fast. It is absolutely incredible. You're going to love your experience at Squarespace. Head to squarespace.com/left for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code LEFT to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.